All right, we're back after a really interesting discussion about the Scrum Master. We hope you all got a lot out of it. As promised, we're going to move over to developers. And Todd, developer is really interesting accountability, one that you and I both fulfilled during the earlier parts of our career. This committed to creating any aspect of a usable increment each and every sprint is huge, right? There's a lot here to unpack. They own delivery. They're committed. Remember that word commitment from the Scrum values section. It's not commitment to scope. It's committed to delivery. It's committed to goals. It's committed to value. It's committed to product goal, sprint goal, things we'll talk about in future videos. But for now, let's really, Todd, dig into this idea of being committed to creating any aspect of a usable increment each and every sprint.
Yeah, Ryan, where my brain goes immediately is committed to creating any aspect of usable increment. I can't help but put down the sticky note quality because they are concerned with quality. Usable doesn't mean junk, right? Usable means quality, and they instill this quality by adhering to the definition of done, right? Which is a commitment to the increment. We'll talk about that in a later video. So I can't help but think quality. That's first and foremost in developers' minds, quality, and they adhere to the definition of done, which helps to instill that quality.
Well, of course, you know where my brain goes. It always goes to delivery.
Yeah.
With the developers, right? We have to ship something each and every sprint that is usable, that's valuable, that meets a customer need, and so we do that. And that is the core. If you were to ask most Scrum practitioners, what's the point of Scrum? The point of Scrum is getting to done, right? Mm-hmm. It is delivery, and that's something that we need them to do each and every sprint.
We do. And you know what? If they're going to be accountable for delivery and quality, you know what? They really need to own how. They need to own how the work gets done, right? Nobody can tell developers how to do their job, right? No one can tell developers how to take an approach towards a complex problem that they're trying to accomplish, right?
Yeah, absolutely. From a practical sense, so they create the plans, mm-hmm. right? And they update the sprint plan. So they are in sprint planning, which we'll talk about down the table of contents here in a little bit. They create the plan for the sprint, which includes the sprint backlog. And the sprint backlog is all the product backlog items that are going to be built. So the developers actually decide scope. They create the plan on how they're going to try to achieve a sprint goal. They work towards that sprint goal all throughout a sprint. And you know what they can also do? They can also, as needed, adapt that plan. So not only are they accountable for creating the plan, they're accountable for adapting their plans all throughout the sprint as they learn more about the product. So you learn by doing, and as they learn more about what they're doing, they update the sprint backlog. They keep track of their progress towards the sprint goal. They inspect and adapt continually because they are held to that high bar of delivery each and every sprint.
Yeah, and you've used the word accountable a lot, so I'm going to throw that out here. Holding each other accountable. They hold each other accountable. There is no hierarchy. There is no hierarchy amongst these developers, right? They hold each other accountable for quality, adhering to the definition of done, delivery, how the work gets done, updating and adapting their sprint plan, right? They hold each other accountable collectively as a unit of developers. I think that's really important to put out there.
You know, Todd, one idea here that I'd like to put up about developers is that this group of developers, they are cross-functional.
Great.
And I think that's important to talk about, right? I can type and talk. They are cross-functional. And so that means when we have a group of developers brought together, we have all the skills needed within that developer group to deliver, right? We're not relying on outside teams. We're not relying on outside groups. And so they're actually, they have all the skills on that team. And what they also do, Todd, which is kind of different, is that if you're naturally a programmer and you also have testers and analysts and all sorts of business and technical skills as your developers, guess what? A tester can write code and a coder can test and an analyst can help with that testing as well. We're not just staying within our disciplines. The developers are cross-functional, and we mean that. They move all the way down the spectrum of skills, and they add skills and they learn together so that they can deliver together.
Yeah, and you know, a concept that I think ties this all together, Ryan, is that they do self-manage around the problem, right?
Yep.
So there is self-management in amongst the Scrum team, which we'll get to in the next video. But when we talk about self-management amongst the developers, you know, I had mentioned there is no hierarchical composition amongst these developers or leader or something. They hold each other accountable and they self-manage to get to done, right? They self-manage to get to done, and that means. If they are cross-functional, they have all the skills that they need. They're able to get to done and deliver without any other reliance on outside people, right?
Yeah, and to Todd, to tie this up, it sounds like to me as I listen to this conversation and look at the notes, what I hope stands out to you, the student, is that they are enabled and empowered. Yeah. Right? There's a lot of empowerment here of the developers to make decisions about how the product is built, about how things are going to go, and really lean into that empowerment. And really, let's think about that empowerment in the community section of this class. How empowered are your developers today? Are they able to own truly how the product is built? And if yes, how is that working? If not, how could you get there? Can't wait to see your comments. And yeah, next, as Todd mentioned, we're going to jump into the Scrum team. We'll see you over there.